In 1932, Australia waged an extraordinary battle, not against a rival country or human force, but against the emu, a towering flightless bird that proved a far more cunning adversary than anyone had anticipated. Known as the Great Emu War, this bizarre campaign pitted the might of the Australian military against tens of thousands of determined emus, resulting in an unexpected and almost humiliating struggle. Following World War I, the world was gripped by the Great Depression, and Australia was no exception. Farmers, devastated by plummeting market prices, halted wheat production as it barely covered their costs. To combat this, the Australian government urged farmers to grow wheat, promising to purchase it at favorable prices. The farmers complied, but when harvest time came, the government reneged, offering lower rates. Angered by this betrayal, farmers left their fields unharvested, a decision that unknowingly set the stage for the arrival of their feathered foes. As it happened, the emus, native to Australia and standing at over 5 feet tall, had just finished their breeding season. Flocks of them, some 20,000 strong, began migrating toward the coast, where they stumbled upon the farmers' abundant wheat fields. This was paradise for the emus, but a disaster for the farmers. With each emu capable of devouring 2 kilograms of food daily, the swarm ravaged fields overnight, consuming and trampling acres of crops. The scale of destruction was staggering, and soon the desperate farmers demanded government intervention. The government decided that the best solution was a military operation. Armed with machine guns, soldiers were sent into the wheat fields to wage war against the emus. The media dubbed this strange campaign the Great Emu War, and the soldiers, confident after World War I, assumed that defeating a flightless bird would be child's play. They were about to be proven disastrously wrong. As the military forces arrived in Western Australia, heavy rains scattered the emus over a wide area, complicating the task of targeting them. When the rain finally stopped, soldiers set up an ambush in a nearby village. Locals tried to help by throwing stones to herd the emus into a single area, but the birds scattered instead. Fast and agile, emus can run up to 70 kilometers per hour, easily outpacing the soldiers. In this initial assault, only 5 to 7 emus were killed despite the soldiers' best efforts. Unfazed, the soldiers changed tactics, attempting a second ambush. This time, they positioned themselves to fire when a group of about 1,000 emus entered the fields. However, just as they opened fire, the machine gun jammed, and only a few dozen emus were killed. The rest vanished into the fields, unharmed. The operation was failing spectacularly, and the soldiers' frustrations only grew. In their next attempt, the soldiers decided to mount machine guns onto trucks to chase down the emus while firing on the move. But driving over rough terrain made aiming impossible. At one point, a charging emu became entangled in the truck's steering wheel, causing it to crash into the brush. Despite firing 2,000 rounds, only about 200 emus were killed. The emus had once again evaded their pursuers, and the military found itself outmaneuvered by the very creatures it had underestimated. After a brief pause, the military resumed its campaign with slightly better results, managing to kill around 1,000 emus, but it took 10,000 rounds of ammunition to do so. When the results were presented in Parliament, politicians heavily criticized the operation. Some even suggested that if any medals were to be awarded, they should go to the emus, which had skillfully dodged 9 out of every 10 bullets. The costly military campaign was ultimately abandoned, with the emus emerging victorious. Despite the end of the operation, the emu population continued to thrive, with the birds returning year after year to devastate crops. In response, the government distributed weapons to the farmers, instituting a bounty system to reward every emu killed. This approach proved far more effective, and within 6 months, farmers claimed bounties for 57,000 emus. However, when news of the bounty system reached international media, animal rights activists expressed outrage, forcing the government to end it. Today, with an estimated emu population of 600,000 to 700,000, Australian farmers have turned to fortified fences to protect their fields. The Great Emu War remains an indelible reminder of an incredible clash, a battle not just of bullets but of wits, between humans and some of nature's most unexpected warriors. Do you know how Donald became Trump? Of course not. So click on this video